Whoa, the audio is crazy. Hey, look who's in the house. This way, this way. Ben, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, Janice. Hello, everybody.
This is so awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to be so inspired by Ben. We were just talking behind the scenes on how much work he does, and you're going to see how amazing the variety that you do and the lighting that you have is just, you're just so talented that I'm so excited, and I want to just thank you again for saying yes.
You're most welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Well, for all of you guys that are out there, let us know where you're at, and I will let Ben know where you're coming from. I'm going to just go through real quick, Ben, for any newbies that are coming on. This is a Macro Chat live show, and this is where we have featured guests like Ben. And so you're going to be totally inspired. It's about focusing on close-up, macro, and micro photography. We have viewer critiques, and of course, what I love is the equipment segment. So I'm curious, we'll be in that soon with Ben to see all his little goodies, which is so much fun. So anyways, when you guys want to do critique, you make sure that you look down below and you can send us 3 images or a 10 images for portfolio, and that will be next week. Well, 2 weeks, because this is every other week, and so it's on. The next show will be February 18th, my daughter's birthday, and it's at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have to tell you, Ben, today is my grandson's. They're twins, and they're 5 years old today.
Happy birthday to the twins.
Yeah, they're so excited that they've been wanting to say, happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. They're so cute. Do you have kids? I didn't know. I didn't
don't
see.
Have kids.
You don't have children yet? No.
Lucky enough to slip in a wedding just before all of the COVID happened. So I was very lucky that came off in the summer of 2019. So we've been locked indoors since then,
I know.
but no babies yet.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, they're so much fun. It's fun to be a grandparent. But I wanted to tell you, I think you know because I sent you an email. But I liked YouTube obviously, and I saw your kiwi, which we're going to talk about later, the UV. And I was just like, whoa, that is so cool. And so I'm like, this is how I am. I'm just like, I'm just going to ask him, because after I saw your kiwi, I started looking at your videos and I was like, whoa, this is real. He is so amazing with his lighting and different things that he does. And it just got me excited again about, different ways to photograph macro. And so I had heard people talk about the Adaptalux before, but I never really got into it until I saw your work. And I was like, oh my gosh, he said yes. So it was interesting. I want to let you know that we are a little similar, because you say you started off in portraiture and weddings and then product. I was portraiture and product, and then you went into macro. So this is so I want to hear your story. Let me know how your journey from the beginning, I'm curious, until where you're at now. Tell people how you got into what you're doing at the moment. It's really cool to see.
The very beginning. No, you're right in that I sort of had a pretty eclectic career so far, and it sort of leads to the eclectic macro that I do now. I've got a lot of different subjects I like to try, a lot of different techniques and all of that sort of stuff. But it all sort of came from when I was a kid. So when I was about 14, I actually remember the first time I was thrust a camera into my hands. It was a 2 megapixel Fuji oh god, it was awful, point and shoot thing. No changeable lenses or anything like that, but yeah. I'd been given and trusted this camera by my parents at Niagara Falls, no less. So I was not only trusted to take the family photos, but also trusted to not drop it over the edge. So that was a sort of a defining moment for me, where I was like, actually, quite enjoy taking pictures. And I'd not really had any big passions before that, I suppose. And that sort of led to my interest in wanting to be a photographer, career photographer. I was like, this is going to be my job. I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So that was a really great sort of way to start. I think I didn't sort of stumble into it. I followed that passion into adulthood. I went to university to study photography, and then when I finished that, I went to work at the local portraiture studio, and I was doing weddings for them, and that sort of led on to my next job, which was luxury kids furniture, but e-commerce. We were selling it online. So I had this big studio with room sets and all of this nice luxury furniture coming. We're importing it from America, and I had to reshoot it all in sort of a nice luxury setting. But then towards the end of me working there, I developed a problem with my eyes. I've got a degenerative eye condition, which it means that I can see fine.
Can I just ask you, is it keratoconus?
It is,
keratoconus? Yeah. My son has that. It is so rare. I can't believe that. I'm like tripping out right now. My son has that. Oh my gosh, that is so weird. Okay, go ahead. I just had to tell you that. That is.
Does he have hay fever as well? Out of interest.
Huh?
Does he have hay fever or allergies or anything like that?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So that's. Yes. I was told that apparently people that have hay fever and rub their eyes a lot, especially as kids, tend to develop this problem with their eyes. And the problem with it is that once it gets bad, it doesn't get any better. You can't fix it. So whilst I was working here at this kids' furniture place, I found myself sort of, my boss was coming to me saying, what's going on? This is out of focus. I was like,
oops.
Is it?
Oh, no.
And I legitimately couldn't. I couldn't tell. I was trusting the autofocus on my camera to get things in focus for me. I was like, this is becoming stressful for me. Yeah. So when I decided to leave there, it wasn't for that reason. I mean, I could still do the job.
Yeah.
But I moved away from photography a little bit into marketing. I went and worked somewhere else for a little while.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But then I met Sam. So we were friends in real life, as it were. But he just invented this photography lighting product. And I was like, okay, I'm a photographer. This is pretty interesting. We started talking, obviously, and it was really interesting for both of us. And at that point, I'd not done any macro. I'd never touched close-up work. So it was something new to me, although I'd done a lot of other kinds of photography, other genres. I'd never gone close-up. So I was exploring all of this, and in those videos, the really early ones even, I'd only been doing macro for a year or 2 years, I think, by the time I started making the videos. So I'm learning all of this stuff with everyone, and learning how to use the Adaptalux even just as our customers are as well. So it's a really nice way to go about it, I think.
Yeah, you know what, AD? Let's show his Instagram page. It's Adaptalux. Why we talked to Ben, because I'm just tripping out that you had just, that's several years of your creativity. Wow. So now you're in you're I saw that you guys had what is it called, where you put in so people can help with the money to do this? What is that called? Kickstarter?
Yeah. Sam started a Kickstarter. I think that was in 2015.
Mm.
So that was before I met Sam and started working here. But he'd got
Mm-hmm.
all of that kicked off, and he'd got that funded from scratch. And at this point, he was working out of his garage. The very first Adaptaluxes were all put together by Sam himself, in, like working at home with his mum from his garage, like very startup, proper startup.
Yes, yes. And you were saying he might be on the show, which I'm really excited about. But today it's about you. But
Yeah, no,
anyways,
absolutely. We can sort that out. I'm
that's
sure he'd be just as happy as I am to talk about myself.
oh,
He'll
thank
go
you.
on about himself for just as long.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this now, because we know your path, and it's wow, it's amazing that how fast you've gone into experimentation of macro because
Mm.
your work is so creative. So let's just talk about that now. Let's talk about how do you, I mean, like, how do you start do you just shoot and then have ideas? I'm just curious on your thought process, or is it like the product? Give me your thought process while you're photographing, because I'm just like so amazed of your ideas. You know what? I want to share something to everyone too. Um, I'm not really into Instagram that much, to tell you the truth. The reason why is, look at your image, how gorgeous it is. And you cannot see it on Instagram unless you're on a phone. So you did give me this. We are going to the blog, and then now people can really see your work. So let's just talk about you. Just talk in general, though, about your photography process. Do you shoot and have ideas? How do you go about doing so much creative macro with your Adaptalux? I mean, it's amazing to me.
It's sort of, I approach it in a couple of different ways. Um, I put out a video every 2 weeks as well, and
Mhm.
that obviously means that you've got to have quite a quick turnaround of new projects, new ideas, and a lot of other photographers who aren't putting out regular content quite as quickly, they can work on something for years. So I'm thinking all of the time, what's next, and what's the next two things, and what's the next three things. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll have an idea and I'll be like, I want to explore fruit, for example,
Mhm.
and I'll set out to go and do what I can do with fruit. But then
Mhm.
occasionally I'll have, that creative block where I just don't know what's coming next.
Mm.
And I suppose it'd be fair to say that I occasionally use the brute force method of just, let's just take some pictures, take as many pictures as I can, see what happens, see what sticks, see what I feel is, speaking to me,
Mhm.
and start running with that. But that's sort of the joy of the job that I'm doing now, is that I've got quite a lot of creative freedom to just go and explore and do what I want to do. And I mean, that goes back to my eyes as well. I've got a lot of time to slow down and step back and take my time to really get close to all of these objects, which, I mean, I can't really see them with my naked eye anyway, but through a camera you can really get close, and you've got a lot of time to nail that focus. You can use your live view, which, I mean, before I started working here, I never used live view. I was
Mm.
always putting it up to my eye. As soon as I
Mhm.
had to start wearing glasses, though, it's time to start using live view. So
Mm.
exploring all of these different subjects, having the time to be able to do that, I find so enjoyable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I did notice on when you did your look at this, you guys. How awesome is this? And you know what? If you guys have not subscribed to Adaptalux on YouTube, you got to do that. But after the show, stay here at the show, and then after, we will have the link down below. But you show everything. This was so cool to watch you make these amazing solar system marbles. And that was, I mean, I want to talk about your post processing. Is it something that you really enjoy? Is it like you shoot and then do the post processing because or is it just something that you just go at? Is it as you go type, when it goes to the post work? I'm curious on how you work.
So post-processing is not something I really enjoy. I never have. I've never done a lot of, I've never a lot of filters or presets or anything on my work. Even when I was doing weddings and things. I mean, I can't say I was a very good wedding photographer, but I didn't use any presets or anything like that. They weren't really prevalent back then, and there wasn't even Lightroom when I was doing that. I don't think. I could be wrong about the timeline there, but even to this day, I don't use Lightroom. I still use Bridge and Photoshop together, which I'm sure people are cringing at right now. Certainly the RAM on my computer cringes a little bit whenever I fire up Bridge, but it's not something that I really go into quite a lot. And I think that kind of suits the work that I'm doing, because a lot of what I do is to show off the Adaptalux, obviously, and what it can do. And I think it would be a little bit disingenuous to go editing all of these pictures and doing a lot of post-processing. So I try and get everything out of the camera as much as possible. And the Marble Planets is probably one of the few exceptions to that rule, where I did do a little bit of compositing, but it's only compositing of maybe 2 or 3 images on top of each other. That one that we're looking at right now is actually a single image.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's straight out of the camera.
Oh, that's wonderful, you guys. Look at that. Wow.
There's on the video that goes with this, there's a little explanation of how much post-processing is actually involved in these, and it's really not very much at all. Anybody could do it, whether you've not picked up Photoshop for years or you can still create these images straight out of the camera if you really need to. Compositing them, obviously making that much larger, the sun marble much larger than the planet. It's not difficult to do, and it's not.
Well, you show in the video too, which is really nice, so people can go step by step in the video that you've shared, because you're pretty detailed, which is really awesome. So these right here, these are just absolutely gorgeous. I love your creativity here with all the lights. Did you have a lot of fun with this one, or was it just like, I just got to do something type of thing?
Well, these two that we're looking at, the marbles and the paper, are 2 examples of ones that I really wanted to try. I had this idea and I wanted to execute that. And the paper in particular, I had a lot of fun with. I'd seen similar shots around online with people sort of bending over colored paper and shining some light through them and taking a picture of curved paper. But I'd not seen anybody do it this way, so I really wanted to try using that piece of paper to diffuse the light from the bottom, and then creating the shadows and the mixing of light using the paper on top. And I've seen people that have seen my video that have gone and done this since, and I look back on mine and I'm thinking, I need to go and do this again, even if it's just for my own satisfaction. I think there's a lot to be done with this technique.
It is so beautiful. I mean, with the Adaptalux and the curves and the gradients, and it's so when you look at the paper in your video and you're just holding it up, you're just like, and then you look at your work like, wow, that is really, really cool. This is something. Now, we were talking about creativity, like how did you get motivated? And well, you were saying something, because you have so much that you have to do. And I always love to help other photographers that get in that crunch where they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I mean, obviously they could just watch your videos and be like, okay, I'll do that now. But I want you to help some of the photographers out there. How do you just pick it up and just go like you were saying, or what do you want to give them some advice of how you're so creative and the work that you've done, you just produce, which is amazing. So let them know what, give them some tips or something that can help them say, pick up. I always like say 1, 2, 3, get up, but but that doesn't always work.
Actually, it was just before Christmas, just end of last year, I made a video on this subject of finding the next subject, finding your creativity. So you can go and watch that, but the long and short of it is you can go and look at what other people are doing. So go and watch some videos, go on YouTube. There's no shortage of photographers that are looking to chat about their work and show off their work. So go and look at what other people are doing and see if any of that speaks to you. But the other thing that I do is I collect subjects. So I've got a subject box.
Okay, go ahead. I just want to.
Sorry.
I love that. I fell in love with that. I wanted him to see. I wanted everyone to see that. Go ahead. You got a subject box. How perfect is that? Is this part of your subject box?
It's in the subject box now. It was actually it was a customer that sent us some feathers. I don't know whether he intended for us to use them as a subject, but I did, and he was like, "Oh, really nice feathers. I'll use these." But I've got this box. And when stuff like that comes along, when some subjects that are interesting looking, or maybe something that I can't quite put my finger on right now, I've not quite figured out how to shoot it or how I want to shoot it, it goes in the box. Everything goes in the box. And then when I'm stuck, go back to the box, have a rummage through all of these little knickknacks and trinkets and things. And they've all got interesting textures, and maybe something will just pop out and you like, I think I'd like to photograph a pocket watch today, or this pine cone's got some really interesting textures on it. So that's one of the main methods I do when I get really deep into a funk, is I'll go check out the subject box and see if anything interesting has turned up in there that I've forgotten about.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful tip. I love that. I've never heard about a subject box. I mean, I have like a little box for when I see a dead leaf or something, or the kids like, "Grandma, here," whatever. But I like the subject box, like you're saying, the different little subjects. These are just beautiful right here. The sequence. I love the flow and did you want to talk? I mean, I know we're going to show the Adaptalux probably. I mean, I'm going to ask you your favorite tool, so I'm assuming it's going to be partly that.
I've got one down here.
Yeah. So, as let's just when we talk about the tools, then then they can see it. But I want to. This is all Adaptalux. These colors, correct? I mean, that's what you're using. So, that's just correct. Look at how beautiful that is. So when you're playing with Adaptalux, I'm curious on, do you just go and just do different things and then it stops and clicks and then you're like, okay, this is cool, I'm going to go here with it? Or do you have a plan like you did with the planets? Or, I'm just curious because your work is just like, wow.
It depends on the subject. Sometimes you've got quite an interesting subject already, and you can light it pretty conventionally and approach it like you would photographing the subject. I want to make this look good. Other subjects that mostly come out of the subject box aren't quite as interesting sometimes. So like a pine cone can look great. If you then start experimenting and putting different colors of light onto subjects and changing where that light comes from, changing your composition, it becomes something else. And you can really delve into the abstract, which is something that I do quite a lot. I really enjoy abstract work. So the ability to have control over your light and color and all of that really helps to open up options for that sort of thing. Obviously, you can use white lights and light subjects in a very normal, conventional manner and get great results that way. But I do like to push the envelope and see
this is great.
Less interesting or less obvious subjects, let's say. They're all interesting, but some of them are less obvious than others.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to us. I just think that is amazing how you can look and manipulate your light source. And I do love your abstracts. You're very good at it. I could tell that the abstracts are really one of your passions. You probably get really excited about it. Let's see who's here real quick so they could say hi to Ben. And we have Baz from England. Elise is from Ireland. And Paul, I don't remember where Paul's from. David is from Canada. And Jan is, hi Jan. She says hi AD. Hi Jan. She's over by you, I think, AD in New England. So I normally in the chat show I'm really chatting it up. So if you guys have questions, make sure that you guys ask. If you have any questions for Ben, make sure you ask them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them. Because right now, I think what I want to do, Ben, is we should go into the feedback, because we've got some really good images. Baz and JR have sent some images. So this way we can help a couple of photographers. So let's get over to Lightroom. Where are we? There we go. Okay, so let's see. So Baz says this image he's been playing with. He says he had several of them, but I just picked this one. He says he can't seem to get good focus all the way down a bubble, even when he uses f22 ISO is above 2000, and still he can only get the top of the I think it's a soap bubble, from what I recall. He goes, how I can improve the focus, the depth of field. Remember, the colors in the bubble, yes, are constantly moving. So stacking is not possible. Help, please. So he's curious on how you could, get this more in focus is what he would like to help with. I have some suggestions, but if you have suggestions, go for it, Ben.
Well, if you have some suggestions, I'm curious as well, to be honest, because, from the first thing that he said there, that he's pushing his aperture all the way, that would be anybody's first suggestion, I think. So you've gone as far as you can with that. You can't stack because obviously all of this bubble mixture is moving around. And there's really only a few more variables that are even going to affect your depth of field. So, and it's not immediately obvious how close you are to this bubble, Baz, but moving back a little bit and maybe changing the focal length of your lens might give you a little bit more or enough depth of field to get more of the bubble in focus. It might mean sacrificing a little bit of the detail and cropping in a little bit closer. If you've got the megapixels to do it, it might be a way to get a bit more of the bubble in focus. I mean, it's something that I've tried once. I've tried this type of subject, and it's tricky. It's a very tricky subject.
Yes, it is. I love that idea. I was talking to Baz about it earlier, so I would probably, whenever I need to stop motion, I use a flash, so I would probably put it in like a tent and bounce light and pop it and see if I could get it without making any, if I got like a specular highlight somewhere or whatever, then I would just clean it up. But I would try that. Because like you say, Ben, you can only do so much with what you got. And I agree, like if you get really close like that and it's moving and he's doing all of, he's got to get a faster shutter speed. I mean, that's the whole problem. It's like the shutter speed's not working. So I like your idea though of, cropping, because nowadays you don't have that 2 megapixels like you used to have when you first started. Yeah. It's not that big of a problem.
I mean, the suggestion that, or at least what I would do, is because I can see that you've got the colors there. I'd maybe warm them up a little bit because it's looking very blue, but that might be a stylistic choice, which is absolutely fine. So you've got the colors, you've got. It looks to me like the sharpness is there. It's just very shallow, only on that sort of very mid curve. But what I'd probably suggest is just to embrace that shallow depth of field, get even closer, get some more of the detail, and not worry so much about getting the entire bubble in focus. I think some of the joy of these particular types of shots is having a little bit out of focus.
I love that. I think that is an awesome creative idea. Like pick a focus, try different focal points, Baz, and see what you like. And yeah, that's such a great idea because, we'll hone in on what's in focus. And if there's something that you really love, like say you love this swirl that or whatever, or you love in this part or whatever, I mean, our eyes will go there. So that could be part of the story. That's a great idea. I love that idea. That's really cool. This is pretty too. See how it's like purple? I love that. I'm wearing green today. Normally I wear purple and black. Okay, so let's go to JR. This is a fun one. Oh my gosh, how fun is this? So he says, my first intention was to represent an optimistic vision of destiny, traveling of a path of colors that represents hope. He says, the result of the reflections of the drop is not what I wanted, but I had very little time to do it. I'm satisfied with the pleasure of trying. But he says, I'm sure today's review will help me more when it comes to his next attempt. So I love that you're going to do another attempt. So I didn't put down did you get to see I forgot I didn't put down how he shot it on my show notes. Oops. Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up. I forgot.
That was one of the things I was going to say. I'd be very curious to know how he shot it because looking at the reflections in those little water drops, it's a curious light source. I'm not quite sure what he's used there. It looks like a big ring light maybe, and the spectrum has been separated in the bubbles, but then there's all of the different lights, and it's been lit from two different directions by the looks of the shadows on them.
Yeah, that is a trip. You're right, because here's a shadow. Yeah, but JR, you're here. Let us know how you lit it. I'll tell you, he used a Canon 760D at f/18, 2 seconds tripod with, he used a 200 millimeter with extension tubes to get up close. So for 2 seconds, I wonder how much that he has. Well, you could see some of the little speckles. But yeah, JR, let us know in the chat. Let me go back and let us know what light source did you use for this? So let's see.
Very much up my street. I like bright colors for sure. So I really like that there's a lot of color here. Well, I'd maybe suggest bringing the color down just ever so slightly, or I'm not quite sure what it needs. Maybe some diffusion on the light to blend some of those shades together a little bit. It might just sort of even everything out a little bit. There's a few little hot spots of color, like the blues look a little bit burnt.
Yeah, got it.
Maybe if they all sort of blended together just slightly.
Yeah, that's a great, yes. Well, if he was going to print it, like it might get a little mushy, but I love it too. I love color. I'm definitely. Oh, he's in the chat. Yes, I have played with 2 different illuminations, an LED flashlight in the front of the drop. Okay, so he has so that's what makes those. Okay, so that makes sense. That's the LED right here, because the LED has all the different lights. This is interesting. This is what's interesting to me, though, is see how the shadow goes here, and then the shadow goes here.
Each drop has been lit slightly differently, but I guess it's just the angles that the different lights are coming from.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's wild. it is wild. Um, so I think it's cool. I mean, yeah, I would play with sharpness a little bit more, but it sounds, I mean, you could, this is like not moving, so you could stack if you wanted to, but he's using a 200 millimeter.
Well, the other thing that caught my ear, as it were, was that this is a 2-second shot. I'd be really interested to know what this would be like light painting. I mean, if it's not already light painted, if you're using an even longer shutter speed, focus on the drops, find your composition, and then turn out all of the lights, provide all of that light using your light source, but moving it around. And I think that would be even more confusing for people to try and figure out where your light's coming from. I think you'd catch more people out if you had a bit of light painting going on, maybe.
Yeah.
That's certainly something that I would try if I were working on a shot like this, just to see how it look, if nothing else.
Right, that's fun. Light painting is always fun too, because you can always. It kind of almost looks like light painting if you think about it, but he's going.
When I said it, I was thinking, is that how he's done it? Maybe.
All right, JR, you're killing us here. We want to know how you did it. He says something about and a smaller one in the back. Oh, so he's got one really going to one side and then a smaller light going that way, the other way. So that's why he's getting, okay. Got it.
Sort of see in the reflections. It looks like one's a ring light, maybe.
Yes.
The big one, and then there's a little recolored flashlight or something in the back.
Yeah, I think this is such a great idea, and I would play with it. Probably what I would do personally if it was mine, because you're going into the light, is get rid of some of these specular highlights right here, and then what we would do is we would really hone in on this and your other light. That's what my personal preference of what I would do, because this way it's like right on the drops, but it's really so creative, just like yours. It is definitely in your wheel.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd have to talk about the editing, because I don't think there's much that I would take out of there, simply because that's like a good representative shot. I like it to look the way that it looked when it hit the camera. So although there's some, quite harsh highlights and little specular bits in there, I'd be tempted to leave them in.
Yeah, see, that's yeah, that's what's so cool about your, photography is what it's your story and what you want from it, and doing something different, which is to me very exciting. And
the story that came with this, the optimism, the feeling of hope, fantastic. The fact that you enjoyed taking it, I think, is far more important than the final result. The fact that you want to go back and do it again, far more important than what you come out with at the end, is enjoying the taking of the photograph.
Exactly. Perfect. I love it. Okay, so let's go to the fun part, which is the equipment time. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love equipment. We know that equipment. Oh, are you going to do the thing? I have a little. See, I don't know if you see it, but I have a little segment, but AD, you didn't do it for the first one, so I thought maybe we weren't. Oh, I did. Janice says, I told Ben this is a total laid back show. So we have little segments when it's a critique area that I'm supposed to say something. I forget. But now it's equipment time. So we're going to really hone in on your favorite macro equipment and share it with everyone and why you like it and all that fun stuff. And they're going to just eat it up. I already know.
Well, I obviously have to talk about the Adaptalux, don't I? Before I get to that, I shoot on a Sony A7 III 100mm f2.8 Tacina, and this little lens does pretty much everything for me. Actually, we've got a Tamron 90mm as well. Both of them are manual lenses, so no photo or autofocus at all, which suits me fine. Just zoom in, double check, triple check focus. Autofocus, I think you don't necessarily need it for macro, and the fact that you can then get lenses for much, much cheaper, go and buy old manual lenses with manual aperture rings. It's a lot more fun. So the two lenses that I use the most, 90mm, 100mm, fantastic. Use them all with all sorts of different adapters for different cameras. I've been a Canon guy, Nikon guy, Sony guy. Started with Fujifilm, obviously. So, but yeah, after you've got a couple of decent lenses and a decent camera to put them on, I think lighting is just so important, especially if you want to try and do the type of stuff that I'm doing, very colorful, very abstract, and very experimental with changing everything around. I think one of the biggest things that you can change is the lighting. So if you've not already seen the Adaptalux Studio, there's no better place to see it than over on our YouTube channel. Go and have a look after we've finished chatting. But I'll show you. I'll need to unplug my ears, but
okay, that's fine. No, you got to show it. I want
hard to explain what it looks like.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Go ahead, grab it. I told you, it's like, this is totally laid back, and this is a lot of fun because he can't hear us, but I'm excited.
I didn't hear a word.
It's okay. It's okay.
I had to lean too far out of range of my wire.
Right.
So
I love it.
This is the Adaptalux Studio. We've got a control pod, and it's sat on a little stabilizer, so it sits nice and close to the ground. And then we've got these flexible lighting arms, so they're super bendy. They've got magnetic attachments on the end, and when you plug them into the control pod, light up, and you've got a huge amount of flexibility and control over your lighting. They're quite powerful, and they've got the ability to change all of the brightnesses using the control pod, using the app on your phone as well. And you can have up to 5 arms plugged in at once. So you've got a lot of options when it comes to how to light, where to place your light, and change it all around once it's there. And for the time being, these are all LEDs. So we've got you can see all of that light that you've created and placed on your subjects. You can see it all live, which for learning and experimenting, so useful. I don't think I would have learned all of this macro stuff quite as fast as I had if I couldn't see all of my results on the back of the camera as I'm lighting things, as I'm building a scene in front of the camera. Yeah. If you can't see the result right there, it's pretty tricky. I would think. I've not had to do that, so.
Yeah, no, that's great, because I get a lot of photographers saying I want to shoot natural light. I want natural light, and I really feel it's only because they don't understand light. They don't understand the product. They don't understand how to use strobes or continuous light, so they get flustered and they give up. And that's where I come in. We're like, no, we're not going to give up. You're going to try. And that's what I really love, that you have so many arms. I was like, wow, that thing's cool. I had no idea that it had like all these little arms to be able to play for macro.
Yeah, and they've got all, so that was a white lighting arm, but there's also there's a red one, so you can see the end of there is red. And gee, where's my
oh, there you go, yeah.
It's a bit overexposed, but you can see that there's red light coming right out of there, and then you can diffuse that. There's a lot of options, so you can have really harsh, bright colored lights or soft washes. You can mix all the lights together, like you see that we were doing in the in the picture behind me. That's just direct light on the bottom of a piece of paper, and it all melds together for a really nice effect. So the options that you've got when you've got multiple small light sources like that, they're really quite endless, actually.
Wow. Now, I noticed too that in your videos you use a small little tripod, which I thought was really cool. Is that part of Adaptalux too, or is that like Manfrotto or something? I mean, that's a really cute little.
I started using the Manfrotto ones. We how do we come upon those? So we've always had the stabilizer, That's one of Sam's designs that's built to fit to the pod and hold it nice and low to the ground. But I think the very first photography show in Birmingham, we went there and we were looking around, and Manfrotto had these little mini tripods, and like these are pretty good. And we grabbed a few at that time, and we had them on our stand. So we had our Adaptaluxes sat on these mini tripods, and it just lifts everything a little bit higher up, and then you can bring the arms down and around it. So we sell them on our shop. They're not Manfrotto ones, but they're the same design.
Right.
But it just allows for like a little bit more flexibility, versatility in where you're placing your lighting arms, because the stabilizer keeps them nice and low down to the ground. But those tripods just lifts them up a little bit. Still tabletop, you can still keep it low if you wanted to, but also bring them over the top and around the sides.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it. That's really it's nice, because then you can have the variety of where you want to, you know, if you want to go down low, go down low. You
can attach it to the camera as well. So
I saw that.
I don't do it as often as others. A lot of our customers use it on the camera quite a lot, but the way that I shoot and the way that I'm creating these images, it tends to suit having it off camera. But something that's going to change that is the flash. So we're actually introducing flash lighting.
I saw that. I was going to share that at the end of the show, you guys. So stick around, because I'm going to share that at the end of the show. That was already in my plan.
but with those coming, they're going to be attached to the camera, I think, a bit more frequently, a bit more often, taking them out in the field and things like that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. A lot of probably bug, people that want to do, the bug scene and all that, they probably, I think that's going to be really nice for them, because you need that.
I don't like creepy crawlies, so I've not done a lot of I've not done a lot of bugs. I've not done a lot of spiders. Occasionally, I've tried and creeped out and left. I think I'll be exploring that a little bit more when you can freeze that motion with the flash when that comes along.
So Baz, we're going to show you the flash at the end of the show, and maybe that will stop your bubble, so you can get that faster shutter. Well, it's just the stop motion is what it is. Oh, we've got some people talking here. Let's see. They're just, I love it when you guys chat. Hey, Adaptalux, go Ben. Woohoo, they're here. Awesome.
Hi, everyone.
Let's see. Okay, so let me see is there any questions? I don't see any questions. I think they're just chatting, which is awesome, because it is a chat show. What are you working on now personally? Are you involved with anything that you want to let us know, a sneak peek, or are you just,
I can give you a sneak peek.
I always like that.
Now this isn't gonna. It's not gonna be in a video for few weeks.
Okay.
So if you want to see this, go and subscribe when we're done.
Yes.
But I've got some very interesting money. That's if you can't read it, that's a $10 trillion note.
Wow.
Yeah, it's from Zimbabwe. They had like really high inflation, hyperinflation, a few years ago. I think 2008. But they came out with all of these really high denomination notes. And that sort of made me think there's a lot of artwork and really fine detail on money from around the world.
Yeah,
so
pretty, huh?
We went on eBay and grabbed 50 or so different banknotes from all around the world. And the artwork, the detail is so interesting on them. So what I'm working on now is getting really, really close up to all of these notes and exploring some of the detail, the color, the patterns. It's going to be an interesting one.
Oh, I'm excited. Oh my gosh, you guys heard it. You guys heard it here at Macro Show. I'm excited.
That's an exclusive.
Exclusive. Oh, I am so excited. Yeah. It's so true though, because my husband loves coins. And so I shoot coins for him all the time. And so I mean, when you get up close to these things, it's just like, wow. I mean, the way it's amazing. The artistic, the people that have designed, the artists that have designed all these, these are other people that maybe not be in a show or whatever, but this is what they do. They're artistic. It's really cool. I'm excited about that. Thank you, Ben. This is so cool. I got to show Baz. Let me get back over there. Hold on. Baz, this is for you. 1 second. Let's get over here, and then AD can share this. Come on over. Come on over. Look at this, Baz. Right here. This is what I didn't want to say anything. I like to surprise my guests too on certain things, but I was just like ecstatic about that because I am a strobe person, So when I saw that, I was like, that is really cool. I love that because the arms come out and it looks like you guys have, the red is, so do you have little things that come off so you can have, like is it like gel, back in the days, I don't know if you played, but we have all the gels that we used to play with. So tell me a little bit about this. Is it just one color or how, can you give us some?
The actual flash is a xenon flash. So the little white part at the front, that's where your flash is coming out. The red that's on here, that's a little IR window, and that design's subject to change. Sam's still working on it now, so it's probably look a little bit different by the time it's actually out and available. But the red that you see on there is to let the IR through and
Gotcha.
trigger those flash arms. What that means is that you can separate the control pod from the camera and just keep the trigger on the top of your camera, and then you can place those arms wherever you want, be it a few meters in front of you around the subject, and still be able to trigger them. When it comes to gels, though, each of those is going to come with a pack of 9 gels or 8 gels and a diffuser, so you can have all of the same colors. And you can see that it's working with the same control pod as well, so there's 5 ports in there. You can have up to 5 individual strobes working at once, and you can use it alongside the LEDs, so you can plug in the LED arms at the same time as the flash arms. So if you need even just a white arm for a focusing light, you can have a white LED going at the same time, use that to focus, and then let the strobes do the heavy lifting.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Come take your picture. Yeah, it's very exciting. Honestly, I'm excited as well. I got to play with our prototypes back when we launched the Kickstarter for this, and I had a lot of fun doing splash art photography with colliding water drops in midair and freezing that motion, and I had a lot of fun with that. And it's been in development ever since, and Sam's sort of kept it quite close to his chest, and even I've not had the chance to play with the latest prototypes yet, and so I'm very excited to get my hands on his and hopefully the final prototypes, so they'll be the finished product, and I'll be playing around with them, having a lot of fun experimenting. So I'm excited for it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a drop.
Yes. See, that's what I'm saying, that this is what's exciting for me, because you stop the motion, and oh my gosh. But what's exciting to me also is that you have such a variety of colors that we could play with now. So it's taking it to the next level, which is really cool. I'm more of an artsy person instead of just shooting the bugs, which I love bugs. It's just so funny. I'm like, I don't mind a spider or a bug at all. They just have to be in my flower. I don't go and look for them, but
I know you had Stuart Wood on the show.
Yes.
I watch his channel quite a lot. I mean, he's only down the road in comparison, isn't he? So, and I see a lot of him playing around with his spiders, and it have a little shiver when he gets it out and puts it in his hand. And I'm like, oh.
He's so good
Shame
with
you.
them too. They're his little
Oh, they're
friends.
fantastic, aren't they? Really nice pictures of the spiders. I'm not sure I could keep a spider in my room as a pet.
I know.
I'll
He's
stick to
amazing.
dried leaves and sciencey ferrofluid. It's messy, but it's not going to crawl on me.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Yes, you guys got to watch his. Say that again. It's
Ferrofluid. I think I've got
a video. Yes, you do, because I watched it. I was like,
I've got a video, but I've got a background. If I lean out the way, you can sort of see a little.
oh, there it is. Look, you guys. Look, you guys. Oh my gosh, you have a whole we have a little bit of time. Just talk a little bit about this. I think this is so creative and so different. Also, the kiwi is just like unbelievable. But when I saw that
the UV, the kiwi, that's a whole other thing as well. You have the flash and the continuous light, but the UV light is amazing. If you've never tried UV photography before, it's not as hard as it looks either. All you need is a pure light source.
Which go to this real quick.
You have the
thank you.
The UV lighting arms that plug into the Adaptalux Studio, and they're a pure light source, and you don't need to modify your camera or anything like that. All you need is a dark room and a long exposure, and you'd be surprised at all of the different subjects that glow in really strange ways when they're just exposed to UV light. And I mean, it is a long exposure. We're talking 30 seconds or so for that kiwi shot, and that's a stack as well. So I think
so cool.
I don't think I've said how many stacks are on there. It's probably 20 or so stacks of 30-second shots. So it's quite a long time to sit and wait for that. But when it all comes together,
yes,
and it pops up on the back of the camera, and everything's glowing and weird colors and really interesting.
And you have those UV lights. That's part of the Adaptalux.
Yeah.
So that's why. Oh my gosh! Look at that, you guys! Look at that. That is so exciting. Where is okay? So I did see your. Is it in here? I want to talk about that.
Yeah, the ferrofluid. If you scroll down, you get to it eventually.
No, that's not it. Right?
No, that was it. But I really like sciencey subjects and experiments, and I think I saw this on YouTube ages and ages ago. I saw this stuff, this ferrofluid, and it's basically magnetic fluid. It's magnetic oil. As you expose it to a magnet, it creates these spikes, and it acts really weird. And you need to see it in the video, really, because
the video
moves around and it shivers and it's strange stuff.
Go back to SAD. Thanks.
It's also a really challenging subject as well. I wanted to sort of see what we could do with it, because it's black. It doesn't reflect any light. You need to really catch those reflections where they do happen on those spikes. So, big challenge for lighting.
Cool. And that's always fun to challenge creative lighting. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I have to say, does you guys have any questions? Because can you believe that the show has already been on for an hour? It goes by so fast, Ben.
We've been talking for 5 minutes.
I know. Isn't it crazy? It's so much fun. I have to thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful, amazing creative lighting experience. I don't know. You're just really, really and a pleasure to chat with, for sure.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm going to, if you guys have questions, you better go ahead and ask, because I'm going to remind you guys that the next show will be February 18th. It's a feedback loop where we give you feedback and homework type stuff. It's at 1:00 every other week, remember? And also, if you love this show that we just had, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel and Adaptalux. You got to subscribe to both channels, because it is a fun place where we talk about macro and lighting and really experimenting and have a great time. Do we have any lens recommendations? We have a question from Savinton. I don't know how to say the name. I'm so sorry. I apologize. What lens recommendation would you said that the ones that you like, but just go ahead and say it one more time on the lens recommendation with what is, basically with I guess with what you really enjoy.
My one lens, if I was left with only one lens, it would be this Takina 100mm f.2 macro. It's just a fantastic all-rounder for this type of stuff. You can get really close. You can use it for portraiture even. It's just a fantastic lens, and it's manual as well. So
yeah,
it's expensive. No image stabilization or anything like that. But it's cheap.
Yeah, and it's a good lens too. It's the 2.8. Yeah, awesome. 100 is so perfect. Ben, I'll be watching out for your next vid. That's Baz. Yeah, I'm excited to see the money one.
There's a couple coming before then. We're looking at mushrooms as well, and mushrooms in UV as well. So that'll be interesting. And then there'll be some money after that.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe here and over on Adaptalux, and there's plenty of inspiration ideas.
Yes,
going
there
on
is.
every 2 weeks.
Yep, you caught my eyes for sure. All right, you guys. Well, again, it's a pleasure. And I want you always to remember that your 1,000 words does make a difference. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Ben.